Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now, Friday, January 27th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, Nate Rapensky, who will be with us on every other Friday, basically moving forward. Every 2 weeks on Fridays, we'll have Jimmy Murphy as well joining us later on in the show. So it's a packed house here on this Friday edition of the Ice Guys, and it's a good thing that we've got a packed card, more than usual on a Friday. Usually we only have 2, 3, 4 games on a Friday. Not the case today. We got 8 games on this NHL slate. So looking forward to breaking those down. First of all, Nate, we haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. How are things with you?
Yeah. Hey guys. Good to see everybody again. Happy to be back. Things are good, man. Got to take some vacation around the holidays back in New York here. Unfortunately, had to watch my Vikings get exposed as frauds against the Giants, and the Wild are sputtering as well. But hopefully we'll get some optimism here. They'll make a comeback. But otherwise, things are good. How are you guys?
I hate to be cruel to you, Nate, but Minnesota sports sucking. You don't say.
Yeah. I see Alex has the Hawks jersey on. I would make a comment, but they had a big win last night. So, like, it's probably the win you didn't want, right? You want to lose for Bedard, and now you're winning.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I don't get it. Just every night we seem like, oh well, okay, all right, we'll take our loss and get closer to the bottom of the barrel, and then here we go with a big win against a Calgary team, and it's just odd how they keep finding ways to win and when they really shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's 2-0, by the way, as a starting goaltender for Jackson Stauber, son of Rob Stauber, journeyman goalie. Actually, it was funny. Kelly Rudy works the Flames broadcasts during the week. He's the color analyst for their TV games. And he was talking about how Rob Stauber was actually a teammate of his in L.A. for a little bit, a long time ago. So he remembers his dad very well. And that apparently he was talking with Jackson in the morning before the game yesterday. And they were talking about old Popsy Stauber. Jackson and Kelly Rudy, so definitely some connections there.
And if you watch Jackson, he is a much more stable positioned goalie than old Rob. If you see some clips of Rob Stauber, he liked to come out of the net a little bit, just a little bit.
Times have changed. The equipment's a little different.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt but that was definitely a different era, especially when it comes to goaltenders. But yeah, that's where we'll start in terms of looking back on last night. The 2 -400 favorites both go down to defeat. The Colorado Avalanche losing to the Anaheim Ducks. And of course, as we just talked about, Calgary Flames losing to the Chicago Blackhawks last night. And if you look at it, the Anaheim and Chicago, they both played pretty well, and deserved the 2 points. I mean, even in the Anaheim-Colorado game as well. Colorado did outshoot Anaheim, but still, it was a good effort from Gibson. And Anaheim capitalized on their chances. Even though Colorado had the shots advantage, I don't think that was their best game. And you could tell. I mean, they were just a little bit out of position at times in their own zone. And a lot of those Anaheim goals, that's definitely something I noticed. And the Ducks take advantage of that 5-3 win. And certainly when it comes to Chicago-Calgary, Chicago was the better team. And even in that game where an 18-6 shots on goal in the third period for Calgary, but it didn't seem like many of those were dangerous, to be quite honest with you. And then in the first 2 periods, it was Chicago carrying the play. Another rough night for Markstrom, although I can't fault Markstrom fully. If you watch that game, there were terrible defensive coverages from the Flames throughout against that Chicago Blackhawks team. So very frustrating to have the full game over as the best bet, and it pushes. And if you would have told me Chicago scores 5 goals last night and I can't even win that over bet, I would have been shocked by that. And sure enough, that's the way it goes with only 1 goal for Calgary and a listless home effort. We'll see if they can bounce back. It's not going to be easy now as they go on the road to face the Seattle Kraken. Of course, we will tee up that game in a little bit. As far as the other games we saw last night, it was Tampa Bay beating Boston 3-2. Credit to the Lightning, played well. That was a great hockey game. Intensity, playoff feel to it, nastiness, very good, competitive, evenly played game. The only difference was a couple of defensive lapses from Boston, particularly on the go-ahead goal. You could tell the winning goal by Hedman, they didn't account for him jumping into the play. Brandon Carlo falls down and trips his own goaltender, Allmark, in the process. It was just a mess of a sequence for Boston in their own end, and it leads to Hedman getting the go-ahead and eventual game-winning goal to help Tampa Bay beat Boston 3-2 last night. So excellent hockey game, though. You love to see. Apparently, by the way, that we know about the incident that happened weeks ago when those two teams played. Jack Edwards had some comments about Pat Maroon, and obviously that ended up being something that was very much publicized, talking about his weight and all that stuff. But apparently he sought out Pat Maroon yesterday before the game in Tampa to apologize publicly. So we do have to give Jack credit for doing that. That he went, he actually made a point of it. Went to the Lightning dressing room. Boston Globe, a lot of different news outlets reported that this happened. So you do have to give him credit for that. He went to Pat and wanted to apologize and make amends for that. We all have our issues with Jack Edwards. He's loopy. He's a little insane at times, more than a little. But the fact that he was doing that and going to Pat Maroon and looking to apologize publicly in person, we'll give him some credit for that, no doubt. The other games last night, we saw Detroit in overtime beat Montreal 4-3. Solid win. I would have preferred them winning in regulation, but they do get the win 4-3 against the Canadiens. 3-2 Washington getting a shootout victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Much needed for Washington as they had lost a few in a row. The Buffalo Sabres keep on winning on the road against above-average teams. We've talked about this theory for several games now, and it just keeps coming to fruition. Another solid road win against a good team for the Sabres, really outplaying the Jets from start to finish, and they win 3-2 last night over Winnipeg. Nashville 6-4 over New Jersey. That game was flirting with the draw throughout, but unfortunately, Nashville takes a 2-goal lead. Jersey makes it 5-4. Think they have a chance to tie it, but then Nashville puts it away into the empty net for a 6-4 win there. And then we saw Minnesota escape a valiant effort from the Flyers last night, 3-2 overtime win there. And Arizona blanking I think at this point, they're the hapless St. Louis Blues. I mean, what a dreadful performance that was last night for St. Louis, getting blanked 5-0 by the Arizona Coyotes. And as that St. Louis team, I'm telling you what, I think they're closer to selling at the deadline than buying. This looks like we're getting close to let's blow it up and let's start from scratch when it comes to the St. Louis Blues. I think the more you watch this team, the more you see this team's not any sort of viable Stanley Cup contender. Hell, they'll be damn lucky to make the playoffs at this point. So they might be looking in the direction of, hey, let's make some changes. Let's jettison some of the veterans out. Could Tarasenko be dealt? Certainly O'Reilly's been rumored to be traded before the deadline. I think that's where we're at right now with St. Louis. I think this is going to be a team that's certainly closing in on being sellers rather than buyers at the trade deadline. Alex, thoughts from you on the action from last night?
Yeah, I mean, we start with that. Like you said, the Blues. I mean, this is a team that, like I said, at the beginning of the year, I didn't like the way that they were made up. I thought there were other teams better in the Central, and I thought they would find themselves on the outside, and that's where they are right now. And getting a little bit older, a little bit slower. Just like I said, don't have the consistency at net, don't have the consistency offensively, and they've had injury issues. So all that combined, like I said, it looks like they find themselves on the outside, and maybe they'll make some moves, and those guys will be going elsewhere to help out some other clubs. But like I said, mentioned some of these big dogs: Anaheim, Chicago, Buffalo, Arizona, even Nashville. I mean, it's funny I mentioned Nashville, even though I like that draw, but I liked Nashville. If I had to take a side in that game, because we just thought kind of New Jersey, just a little bit up and down, especially when Mackenzie Blackwood was confirmed too. I really should have sprinkled some money on Nashville at that plus price, but like I said, was looking toward getting that draw, hoping to cash that as the best bet winner, but Nashville was too late, and then we ended up missing that one. But just a lot of interesting games. Like I said, Boston, that was another tough loss for me as well. Really like that spot. But like I said, a good playoff type atmosphere, and when those two teams play, it's always usually some pretty good hockey.
And that was the 11th straight win on home ice for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So clearly playing well there at Amalie Arena. Nate, some thoughts from you on the Thursday night action?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of similar thoughts, right? I think Tampa-Boston, you guys called it out. Great playoff type game, low scoring affair. I mean, I think it's, Tampa definitely exudes some confidence in the team. 11 wins at home, but beating a Boston team that's been tough this year, in regulation is a huge achievement. And so I think it reminds all of us Tampa's a perennial contender, right? Minnesota squeaks out a win last night. That was big for us. Minnesota's really been struggling 5-on-5, generating chances, just hasn't been there this year. And that was one of their strengths last year. So glad to see them get a win. But yeah, I mean, I think the story is, those some of the misfit, toys, I guess, the teams who are sort of tanking for Bedard, Chicago, Anaheim, Arizona. That's the story of the night for me last night. But I mean, it reminds us anyone can win on any night in this league, particularly in a certain spot. And I agree on St. Louis. I think their quality guys are aging. They just don't seem to really have the offense. And Binnington and that group from a goaltending perspective has just been a circus, honestly, most of the year. So I think St. Louis, to your point, Ian, is probably not even looked at it as a contender at all at this point, and they're just kind of a middle of the road franchise where you probably do think about selling. There's some good young pieces there, and you probably want to build around them. The Robert Thomases, the Kyrous, right? But you probably want to maybe dish some of those older guys and reset.
Yeah, saw Thomas get hurt last night too.
Yep. There you go. I mean, it's already bad enough, and he's been one of the guys you've had to rely on. I mean, Thomas and Kyrou have been carrying the team up front for the St. Louis Blues, and now Thomas is out, and there's no telling whether this is going to be a short-term or long-term injury for him. So definitely not good news for the St. Louis Blues, and only making matters worse if he's out for a long period of time. All right, let's get to the Friday card. We've got 8 games, and we will begin with the Detroit Red Wings and the New York Islanders. Islanders minus 175, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I'm not going to, sugarcoat it. This is definitely a scheduling advantage and a spot advantage for the New York Islanders. They're rested. Detroit's coming in here on a back-to-back on the road after an overtime game as well last night against Montreal. Certainly, you've got to give the Islanders the advantage in terms of the situationals, but I'm still willing to take my chance going against this team in this kind of price range. This is not a team that I want any part of as a minus 175 favorite. They can't put a puck in the ocean right now. 5 straight games for the Islanders with 2 goals or less during this 6-game losing streak. I mean, we've got a team that's 0-6 in their last 6 games, 6-game losing streak, and laying minus 175. Not for me. Detroit, they're actually not terrible this year on the second night of a back-to-back, obviously coming off the 4-3 win last night against the Montreal Canadiens. They will turn to Magnus Hellberg in net tonight against the Islanders, or at least we expect that it's going to be him here on the second night of back-to-back games after it was Ville Husso in goal against Montreal last night. Ilya Sorokin has been confirmed in goal for the Islanders. And to be honest with you, if you look at Sorokin here, he is on a bit of a skid himself. He's 0-4 in his last 4 starts, and he's given up 4, 3, 4, and 5 goals in those 4 starts. So there's still some people thinking that he's going to win the Vezina. I don't know what they're thinking. First of all, the Islanders are maybe not even going to be a playoff team. Team success does have to have some, impact on the goaltender's ability to win the Vezina trophy. And second of all, his form has fallen off a little bit in the last few starts, Ilya Sorokin. So, yeah, obviously it's a scheduling disadvantage for Detroit, but I'm still willing to bet this team at plus 155 tonight. I am on the Red Wings. I am fading the Islanders. I've done this now several games in a row. I was on Ottawa Wednesday night against the Islanders. Ottawa got the job done. I took Carolina in regulation against the Islanders on Saturday night. Yeah, I have no problem fading this team. It has been profitable for me. It's put money in my pocket going against this Islanders team repeatedly. And win or lose, if it loses, hey, tip my cap and say, well done, Islanders. You broke your losing streak. But I have no qualms or hesitation whatsoever about taking a shot against an Islanders team that I don't think has any business being a minus 175 favorite right now. So I'm on Detroit plus 155. Alex, what do you think here? Red Wings, Islanders.
Yeah, from a price standpoint, it makes sense. You can only look at Detroit. Like I said, Islanders have no business laying this kind of a price against anyone right now. But I've taken shots with Detroit this year in this plus price roll, and they've laid some eggs for me. So where I just want to pass this one. This is one of the 2 teams that I just want to wait until after the break, and that's something you'll see now. From here until Wednesday, you're gonna a couple teams, maybe no more than 6 or 7, where I'll say, hey, this is a team I don't even want to touch until after the break, once they settle in and figure out what moves they're going to make. And these are 2 teams that, like I said, Islanders I haven't had a good read with all year anyway, but definitely wouldn't be laying a price with them even at home. So it's a pass.
Yeah, right now they've got Anders Lee and Brock Nelson. Pretty much they're 2 guys that are the only guys capable of scoring right now for the New York Islanders. Everybody else is in a funk. Barzal's not playing great. Beauvillier's done nothing lately for the Islanders. I mean, it's just, and you go on and on. J.G. Pajot was actually a big he gave them a thrust of offense when they first got him from Ottawa a couple of years ago. That's completely disappeared, and they just don't have any punch offensively from their bottom six forwards, and that is an issue. And if you're not going to get that depth scoring, and most of your big guns outside of Anders Lee and Brock Nelson aren't scoring for you, that's how you get a team that has scored 2 goals. And the power play, don't even get me started with that. That power play is terrible. They can barely get set up in the offensive zone, let alone a fucking shot on net, let alone a great chance. I mean, right now it's an Islanders power play that is clearly not getting the job done, and I don't like anything about their power play. The starting the rush up the ice is too slow. I find there's way too much indecision, way too much passing, not enough simplification. When your power play stinks, you've got to simplify it. You got to shoot the puck from anywhere, look for some traffic, look for some rebounds, and they are just totally not getting the job done offensively. And like I said, the power play has been a big part of it too. Even strength power play, all things offense right now for the Islanders are failing miserably. What do you think here, Nate? Detroit, New York Islanders.
Yeah, I might take a little bit of an alternative take, and it's one of those where, the Islanders have been abysmal, right? They can't produce any offense. Sorokin been a bit lackluster lately, but I think Detroit coming off a back-to-back, you look at Detroit, I mean, they're bottom of the league in 5-on-5 scoring chances created. If Sorokin has a good game, if the Islanders, I mean, they have one of the top penalty kills in the league, I think you have a chance here for a team who's lost 6 in a row to sort of get off the schneid. I don't love the price at all. And so I'm going to look to the Islanders plus 35 three-way in the first period. I think, they get a goal at home. Detroit's traveling. Detroit's one of the worst first period teams in the league. I think that's a decent price for a team that's lost 6 in a row and needs a win badly. And then I also think, you maybe look to Islanders in regulation minus 115 if you're going to take it, right? You try to get that price. So for me, not encouraging results in the past, but, Detroit's certainly not a stalwart. They're coming off a back-to-back. They're not a great team. I'm going to take the Islanders to kind of right the ship, particularly with the veterans they have in that locker room. It's not a type of team, with the pride they have that's going to make this 8, 10, 12, 14 straight. I think they get off the schneid tonight. So I'm going to go Islanders first period on this one and probably lay the minus 115 in regulation.
All right, there we go. But I think it sounds like you like the first period, though, a bit more, right?
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so that's Islanders minus a half, plus 135 or so in the first period. You can even get plus 140 in some spots with Islanders first period puck line. But Nate also likes in regulation here with the Islanders to get off the schneid and get back in the win column. Islanders in regulation minus 115. All right, Battle of Ontario, Ottawa Senators, Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto minus 200 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Toronto is playing some really good hockey. They've had obviously a big overtime win, a TNT game on Wednesday night, which was another very good hockey game. Rangers and Leafs the other night. It was very even. Either team could have won. It was back and forth. It was a brilliant goal in overtime from Mitch Marner, where he just comes to an absolute stop, dead stop. And then all of a sudden he turns on the Jets and beats both Artemi Panarin and Keandre Miller to the net and stuffs it home past Shesterkin for the overtime winner the other night. It was a great goal by Marner. The big news, of course, for Toronto is Austin Matthews being out now for 3 weeks minimum, and will miss the All-Star game as well because he was the first Leaf representative to be in the All-Star game. So he won't suit up in that. That's disappointing for him, but more disappointing for the Leafs. They'll be without number 34 for the next 3 weeks. Ottawa might be live here, but they have just been way too inconsistent. When they've won a game previously, they haven't exactly followed it up with a great game. And if you actually look at recently when these two teams have matched up head-to-head, Toronto has dominated here in Toronto at Scotiabank Arena, 6-0 here against Ottawa, hosting the Senators the last 6 games in Toronto between these two teams. And to be honest with you, the Leafs are playing great hockey at home, period. They have a 19-7 home record this year, the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is kind of a departure from years past where, oftentimes they've actually played better on the road. They've been more relaxed, more comfortable. You get away from the crazy circus and the media circus that is Toronto. But this year they've thrived playing at home here in this game. I don't know. When you look at Ottawa, They beat Pittsburgh at home in overtime. Pittsburgh struggling at the time. They beat an Islanders team that's reeling. They beat Arizona, which isn't saying much. They beat Columbus, which isn't saying much. There's not a whole lot of recent wins for Ottawa against quality foes, and I actually, the funny thing is, I was more interested in maybe taking Ottawa if Austin Matthews is playing. With him out, I always worry about the whole team rallies around it for one game. Everyone picks up their bootstraps, does a little bit more. And to be honest with you, the Leafs are playing pretty good hockey. They've dominated Ottawa in this building. So for that reason, the lean that I have for Ottawa plus 170, it's probably going to stay that. Just a lean. For now, I'm passing on this one, Senators and Leafs. Alex, what do you think here? Ottawa, Toronto.
Yeah, I was looking at Ottawa, initially just looking at the big price, because like I said, with this is a rivalry game, and in recent years, Ottawa, despite struggling, had played Toronto tough. That hasn't been the case lately. They've lost the last 6 meetings in Toronto. Like I said, the Leafs have played well at home. And now with Matthews out, this is a team that they're not gonna sulk and cry about him being out of the lineup, at least not right away. They're gonna step up. It's gonna be the next man up mentality for sure. Even if it is heading into the All-Star break. You worry about, okay, if our star goes down, we don't want to get anybody else hurt in the next couple of games before having some days off. But I think this is going to still be a effort where Toronto plays well, and there should be good back and forth action. I kind of lean with the first period and full game overs. First period over, it's 10-4 the last 14 meetings between these two teams. And we've seen Ottawa go on an 8-1 run the last 9 in the first period over. But laying $1.55, $1.60 is a bit high. So I'd wait and grab it in game, try to grab it somewhere anything cheaper than $1.25. I'll probably jump in and grab a first period over here. But that's the only thing I'm looking at. I don't like anything sidewise. And even 6.5 is a little high in that full game total. So wait, knock that down to a 5.5 and jump in on that as well.
All right, there we go. Good stuff indeed. And look who's here. Jimmy Murphy is with us, our Friday guest. Jimmy,
hey, Jimmy.
How are you doing?
What's up, guys? How are you?
How's it going?
Good timing. First of all, actually, before we get your thoughts on this one, Ottawa, Toronto, I love that. I didn't love it for me because I bet Boston, and I'm sure Bruin fans didn't love it, losing 3-2. But I loved that hockey game last night, Bruins and Lightning, in terms of that was a great hockey game. It was ultra competitive. It was back and forth. It was pretty evenly matched. It had some physicality, some intensity, some nastiness. It had a little bit of everything, and that was a great hockey game last night, even though the Bruins ended up on the short end of it.
Hey, either way, it's good for me, right? Gets clicks either way. So,
Yeah.
But no, it was great. It was a great game. Had a playoff feel for sure. I mean, I had a good feeling that Tampa, based on the previous two, against the Bruins, they had already lost to the Bruins twice. They were really going to want this game, treat it like a playoff game, and that's what they did. And Vasilevsky was just amazing in net for them. So yeah, I mean, look, I just wrote about this for Boston Hockey Now, guys, and I mean, I don't know how we could apply it. We could apply it, I guess, to in a betting standpoint as well, is if you see the Bruins going up against a team that's got a big physical mobile defense like the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Seattle Kraken, that might be the time to go against them. They have struggled. This is a pattern. And if you look in the past too, I know there's different faces, different players, and I'm not taking anything away from what this Bruins team right now is doing, the history they're making on almost on a nightly basis. It is amazing what they're doing. And I don't think this is, oh my God, the end is near, the sky is falling, but it's something to keep an eye on. And also, we'll see what Sweeney does at the trade deadline to address it, but they really struggle with these teams. And you go back through the years when they lost to the Lightning in the playoffs a couple times, same thing. And they lost to the Islanders. They just can't get to the net, and they get pushed out to the perimeter against these teams. So this is kind of what I said in the story, is a big mobile physical defense is the Bruins' kryptonite, and that's something to look at going forward.
Yeah, and they played like it last night, a lot more physical, and I think they were looking to ramp it up because they didn't like the way they thought they were just way too soft at that end of the ice when they lost those games to Edmonton and Calgary, Tampa Bay on the end of that road trip that they had. They made up for that last night for sure. Jimmy, Ottawa, Toronto, anything you like here?
Yeah, all signs point to Toronto here, but look, I mean, I thought, I know it's the Islanders and they're struggling, and I get that they're in a tailspin right now and everyone's kind of going open season on them. But still, I thought that was a pretty gutsy win by the Ottawa Senators against the New York Islanders the other night. And that's why if I'm going to do anything here, I'm not going to go near If I was going to go with the side, I would lean Toronto on a puck line maybe. But at the same time, I think the Islanders can keep it close, and I think they can keep it a little more low scoring than maybe some would expect. Usually we look at these two teams and, you think it's going to soar through the over, but I would lean a little towards the under here. I think both teams right now need to show themselves that they can grind and play some playoff hockey. And I think that's the type of hockey we'll get tonight.
Yeah, and Anton Forsberg is going to get the start, by the way, for the Ottawa Senators, and he's been better than Talbot lately. Mm-hmm. Talbot's had some issues. Talbot has really, really been fighting the puck lately, so they go with him. Matt Murray is in net for Toronto, and this was a tough call for Sheldon Keefe because I think all along the plan was Matt Murray to get this game, against his former team, but yet Samsonov, after the win against the Rangers, do you know that win now makes him 15-0-1 at home this year? I can't believe it. 15-0-1 as a home starting goaltender for Samsonov this year after that win against the Rangers. He's been lights out at home, I'm sure he was tempted because he's been the hot hand as the goaltender lately. Come right back to Samsonov tonight on home ice where he's been unbeatable. But they said, you know what? We got to get Murray in there. He's been sitting long enough. He's facing his former team. He should be fully motivated to play well, not just because he's a former team, but he sees what Samsonov's doing. If he wants more starts, he's got to step up and deliver and play well tonight. So I think you're actually going to see a good game out of Matt Murray. Just a hunch. His struggles, he did have some struggles in his last few starts, but just a hunch he's going to play well tonight for the Leafs. So that's exactly why I think I lean under as well.
You look at Murray. I mean, that's a great point by you. If he wants to have this kind of resume into more of a rotation setup with the goaltending, he's going to have to stand up now or never and prove that he can be part of a rotation like that and not just be a backup. Samsonov's been unreal, and what a pickup. I knock Kyle Dubas as much as the rest of us, but
no, you don't say.
That's a great pickup by him to get Samsonov. I think a lot of people kind of laughed it off when it happened. It's been a wonderful pickup for them.
Yeah. Well, I know Leaf fans have been calling him Kyle Doofus, over the years for a bunch of different things. But look, it was the ultimate roll of the dice, right? I mean, you let Campbell walk. And you bring in Murray and Samsonov, both guys that had brutal seasons last year, have been injury-riddled. And certainly in Samsonov's case, the early returns are very strong, no doubt about it. Nate, what do you think here? Sens Leafs?
Yeah, I don't have a great feel for this one. I think Toronto's playing so well, but you guys have talked about Ottawa and sort of where they've been at too in terms of being competitive. I can't take 200 on the money line, minus 200, so not going to look there. Probably not puck line. I don't have a great feel for this one, so I'm probably going to pass. I did see Rich H, I think, in the chat is his name, posted Brady Tkachuk plus 180 on anytime goal. I think it's interesting. Brady Tkachuk, you look at 5-on-5 chances, he's top 10 in terms of expected goals for. He's at 17. I think his expected goals is trending more towards 28, 29. So you see some, anomalies in shooting percentage there. He's been generating chances. He's been around the net. I think there's some potential look there. And then I think the Murray narrative is interesting, right? Certainly motivated to get back in the rotation, playing against Ottawa where he was, potential for under there. That's maybe a lean. But if I'd take anything, I think Brady Tkachuk, pretty premier offensive player at plus 180 anytime goal is decent price for me.
Yeah, I'd even go a step further. Claude Giroux has actually always played pretty well against Toronto. Claude Giroux to score a goal might be a really good look. You can actually get in some places plus 300 on him to score a goal tonight. So Claude Giroux for Ottawa. And if you're going to go with the Leafs, Calle Yarncroke, I've talked for several games about him, but Nylander is rolling right now. In terms of points, in terms of goals, no question. So there's some decent options there as far as Toronto goes as well for goal score props. Don't even sleep on, he got the first goal against the Rangers, and he seems to be getting shots and chances, even though he's down the lineup. He's only playing on the fourth line. Actually, you know what's funny is he's moving up here tonight with Matthews out. Pontus Holmberg, wow. I like it even more now. Pontus Holmberg, second line center with Yarncroke and Nylander tonight. Some changes because Tavares is going to go up to the number one center spot with Matthews out with Bunting and Marner. So Tavares goes up to the number one center spot. It looks like Holmberg between Yarncroke and Nylander on the second line. So I really like Holmberg props now. Holmberg had that great backhand past Shesterkin, the first goal the other night against the Rangers. And now he gets an even better spot in the lineup, playing with obviously very good players on that second line. I think that's a really good prop now on the Toronto side. Pontus Holmberg tonight, and you can get goal score prop for him at plus 500 at some spots tonight. So excellent value there, no question. All right, we move along to LA Kings, Florida Panthers. We've got Florida minus 140 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. I'm on LA here. I'm just I don't like Florida laying a price right now. I don't want anything to do with Florida laying a price right now. Defensively, they've had issues. They can still score goals, and I also like the over in this game, 6.5. I think you're going to see goals both ways. Florida at home has been scoring lately. If you actually look at their recent home games, 5 against Minnesota in a 5-3 win. They've put 4 on the board against Vancouver. And for the season on home ice, the Florida Panthers, they're averaging almost 4 goals per game, 3.8 per game at home this year. Looks like Sam Bennett is going to play. There was some question. He sat out the last game, but it looks like he'll return with the lower body injury, but he'll be back in the lineup tonight. LA back-to-back wins on this road trip against Chicago and Philly after dropping the first game of the road trip against Nashville. This LA team, very capable offensively as well. They've scored 9 goals in the first 3 games of this road trip. You look at series history, we saw 5-4 out in LA back in November when these teams played. It soared over the total with room to spare. And LA has played Florida very tough. 4 straight head-to-head victories for the LA Kings over the Florida Panthers. So this is a side and a total look for me. LA plus 120, over 6.5 as well, minus 130. Alex, Kings, Panthers.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I played Kings. I got plus 120 as well. I saw Copley, not officially confirmed, but that's really what they seem to be leaning with. He's been just red hot right now. You know, tried fading him a couple of times when he first came up with LA. It didn't work out. He's just been solid, and even with the total, kind of scares me a little bit. I mean, you look at 6.5, you got to lay at least $1.25 at the cheapest, and it makes sense, especially with Lyon the way he struggled. For Florida, and like I said, Florida starting to get their offense rolling a bit. So I could see the over, but I just worry about it because if one of those guys, buckles down, then this could easily, try to go and slip right under that 6.5, and you're laying the price. So I'm going to just play it safe. Go with the Kings plus 120. Except Florida shouldn't be laying $1.40 against anybody. And the Kings have dominated in this series. They've won 20 of the last 27 meetings overall, and the underdog has cashed in 4 straight when these two have played. So all the more reason to back LA here.
And keep in mind, the thing that and why I like the over too is because Copley's play has, regressed a little bit. If you actually look at his last few starts, he's not playing like he did initially when he started 11-2, hasn't played nearly as good lately. So Florida, I think, will find the back of that. Florida scores at home, period. They average almost 4 goals per game at home this year. But I think the Kings will find the back of the net too, because if you look at Lyon, he has faced a shit ton of rubber. These last couple games, those back-to-back games against the Rangers and the Penguins, they took a lot out. That crazy Florida-Pittsburgh game, and he's doing everything in his power to give his team a chance. Some of those saves in overtime were incredible that Lyon made against Pittsburgh to give them the chance. But, he's faced a lot of rubber, a workload that he's not used to, this many games in a row at the NHL level. That's going to come back to, I think, maybe haunt you a little bit as time goes on, and you're going to wear down a little bit. You're facing, obviously, a level of offensive opposition that you just don't see when you're in pretty much at the AHL level for much of your career. And eventually, you're going to wear down a little bit and have some struggles. And I could see that starting to develop with Lyon. And Paul Maurice is stuck because Spencer Knight, I don't know what's going on with him, but apparently they thought he was going to be ready to play again. But now they think he's just not quite ready, and then maybe they rushed it back a little bit. And Bobrovsky's still day-to-day, so they're stuck. He's got to go with Alex Lyon. There's really no choice right now. Jimmy, what do you think here, Kings Panthers?
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to lean on I'm not going to touch anything on the side or even on the over-under in this one. I kind of too many question marks going on in my head when I look at this game right now. But if I was going to do something, I would go with the Kings as an underdog here. But I'm going to look in the props department, guys, and look at a Carter Verhaeghe, who's been absolutely on fire right now. I'm looking at he still gets some really good value on a goal prop for him to get at least 1 goal. I'm looking at plus 170. Give me that. And I'll also look at Adrian Kempe to score for the Kings. Get him at plus 200. So those are my 2 plays for this. I know they're only props, but I don't really have a good feel on the game itself.
Nothing wrong with that, props. And I agree. I think Verhaeghe, goal, point, assist, all those props for him are worth a look. And Anton Lundell as well. I've talked about him repeatedly now. He's been up the lineup for Florida and still on that top line with Barkov and Reinhart. He's been a point-producing machine. It's funny because his point prop, it looked like it cashed against Pittsburgh, but they actually took the assist away from him on one of those goals. So he actually didn't have a point the other night, but he's still worth a look. He's only a very reasonable price here to get a point here tonight for the Florida Panthers. So I definitely think you go back to the well with Lundell to even score a goal or get a point. You mentioned Verhaeghe. He's rolling right now for Florida. That's a good call by Jimmy with his props as well. But Anton Lundell, certainly worth a look. And Brandon Montour has been, to score a goal might be worth a sprinkle, but more than that, to get a point and to get a power play point or get an assist, all of those assists and points props for Montour. Montour's gotten a point in 7 straight games from the blue line. He's really been chipping in offensively from the back end. So it's one of those games where there's some good prop opportunities with Florida, and for LA, there's probably some good opportunities as well. Quentin Byfield's, I think, undervalued because he remains up on that top line for the LA Kings with Kopitar and Kempe. You can't go wrong with that. Fiala started to pick his offensive game up. So definitely it's a good prop game because I certainly think we'll see some goals. Nate, what do you think here, LA, Florida?
Yeah. Are we confirmed on the goaltending? I've seen Bobrovsky probable. Do we know if I don't think Knight's in, but do we know if Lyon's going?
Lyon is likely, according to Left Wing Lock.
Yeah. Okay, he is. Okay. Yeah. Well, I was going to potentially be on the over. I'll probably be out. Lyon's a former teammate of mine, actually a good friend, and so I'm not betting on.
Really? Wow, I didn't know that.
If I won't tolerate any slander on the show, no. But he's. I think Florida's been atrocious defensively. I was actually at the game at MSG the other night when they played the Rangers, and it was like I think the first play of the game, Adam Fox somehow ended up on a breakaway, and there's just been At Pittsburgh, it was similar. So, yeah, he's been seeing a lot of rubber. I think Florida's been bad defensively. If I had to lean, I'd probably look over. Florida's also been scoring goals. I thought they actually looked decent offensively against New York the other night, obviously generated chances against Pittsburgh. So I'd look over here. I like the Montour play. He's been great on the power play all the way back to like the USHL for folks that follow. I mean, he's a great offensive defenseman. And then Jimmy Verhaeghe for sure. I mean, he was amazing in the New York game. He was great against Pittsburgh again. He's just been generating great chances. I mean, him and Barkov and Lundell as well have been really the guys who've been stirring the drink for Florida offensively. So I like those props. I'll probably lean over, but I'm going to stay off the game and just kind of watch it as a friend.
Verhaeghe's also only minus 135 to get a point. And Verhaeghe, in terms of point production, I'm just taking a look here. I think he has gone, it looks like, 6 straight games with a point for the Florida Panthers, and he's only minus 135 to get a point. So, usually you're supposed to be laying a bigger price when you've got someone that's gotten a point in 6 straight games. But Verhaeghe's still only minus 135 to get a point tonight. Where did you end up playing with Alex Lyon, Nate?
I was at Yale when I was there. So he, I think, had one of the higher save percentages in the NCAA that year, and was the year I think we had the top penalty kill in NCAA history. I certainly wasn't on that penalty kill, I'll tell you that. That's probably why it was good. But he was an unbelievable college goalie, and obviously had a lot of success in the AHL. But he's a fellow Minnesotan too, so we go back a little bit.
Yeah, he's been really good at the AHL level. Alex can attest to that. You've definitely noticed that Alex and a fellow Alex has played very well at the AHL level. Yeah, it's just been that, obviously NHL is the NHL for a reason. It's a totally different kettle of fish. It's a much taller order for any goaltender to shut down some of these players that are playing, the elite of the elite. When you're talking, playing goaltender at the National Hockey League level. So 100%. It definitely can be an adjustment for a lot of goaltenders. All right, next up, we've got San Jose and Carolina. Carolina minus 285, 290, home favorite, 6 the total in this game. I really don't have a whole lot here. Carolina team total, I considered it, but then I looked at San Jose versus Carolina, and you know what the series history has been? Tight, competitive, close 1-goal games, and all of them under the total. So it makes you think, and I don't trust San Jose enough to go into Carolina and beat this team because Carolina's playing well, 5 of their last 6, and a lot of the losses they had, early in the month, they were out playing and out shooting and out chancing the opponent, but they ran into hot goaltending, in a lot of those games. Freddie Anderson's actually played very well for the Hurricanes since he's been back from his injury. Have to give him credit to be out that long and to still be that solid in net. Certainly he's played well. There's a hint that it might be Antti Raanta here tonight for yes, it will be. It looks like he's now likely Antti Raanta for the Hurricanes. He hasn't been that bad lately either for them. So certainly I don't mind that. Reimer is going to be the goaltender here for San Jose. Carolina probably wins, but hey, after last night, maybe you never know, but they probably should win this game. But at the end of the day, minus 290. I don't love the team total when these teams have played tight, low-scoring games repeatedly each of the last 4 meetings. So it's a pass for me, side and total. Alex, what do you think here? Sharks, Hurricanes.
I'm kind of bucking that trend. I'm actually going with the first period over. I think we can see some pace and tempo early, and then we see things slow down a bit. So it's one of those games where I like the first period over and might try to look for a live under playing back the other way if we cash that. Like I said, with these big favorites, we've been warning you for the last 3 days. We've seen at least one go down. We had 3 of them go down yesterday. You do not want to take a chance, and even trying to look for team totals and things of that nature. I mean, we all like the team total with Calgary yesterday. They only get 1 goal, so you have to be really careful. Carolina's got a couple of guys going to the All-Star game. Maybe they're at home, but maybe they're kind of looking ahead to things, making their plans, they're getting their travel arrangements in order, not focusing on this game, especially against a weak team like San Jose. Next thing you know, Sharks take a 2-0 lead after 20 and can put them away. So definitely don't want anything to do with the side. Like this first period over, and would maybe look for a live under later on in the game.
Yeah, no doubt. And it is worth noting, I don't want to say look ahead spot because Carolina, it doesn't mean for sure this means they're losing tonight, but they have Boston coming up on Sunday, and obviously playoff rematch with the rematch of the first round last year between those two teams. And so this is a little bit of a tricky situation. And look, San Jose has actually played them tough. Like I say, 1-goal games each of the last 4, and all of them pretty much staying under the total as well. Like a lot of 2-1, 3-2 with these 2 teams. But Alex liking the first period over here. Jimmy, how about you? San Jose, Carolina.
Yeah, look, I'm going to jump on that first period over as well. And I'm going to stay in the first period and take a little money line on the Sharks to come out and maybe catch them by surprise there in the first period, get some really good value there. So give me the Sharks in the first period.
Yeah, and I find when Carolina's done that at times where first period they get behind against an inferior team, but then still come back and win the game. They've done that a lot more than just lose the game outright. So I think if you like San Jose, I think at the very least you want to split it up. First period, full game, or just do first period. What do you think here, Nate? Sharks, Hurricanes?
Yeah, not a great feel. I mean, you look to Carolina, they've been playing well lately, but the price is too steep. Even the puck line's steep. I probably look, maybe under for the game. Stay away from the first period, and maybe even Sharks plus 1.5 at I think is what's now even money at a couple sites. So maybe you look at, per the history you talked about, Sharks keeping it close. I also think Reimer, right? If you're looking for a motivational reason, former Hurricane probably wants to have a good showing against that organization. Those things at play. So maybe I look under 6, or if you can get a live total, if that first period over goes under 6.5, under 7. But that's kind of my lean, but nothing really strong on this game.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a tricky game, I think, for sure. As far as the prop market goes, it's worth noting points for Brent Burns in 3 straight games. I'm just looking at some of these streaks that we're seeing here. He's definitely, and Tomas Hertl's been good. Timo Meier's been good for San Jose. Teravainen and my guy Marty Necas as well for Carolina. We've talked about him all season long. He gets the overtime winner against Dallas on Wednesday night. He's now scored in 2 of the last 3 games and 3 points. Always a good night to look at a Marty Necas proper too for the Carolina Hurricanes. All right, that's the first half of the Friday card. We'll be right back with the second half of the Friday slate, breaking down the remaining games. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. We appreciate it. We'll be right back with the second half of the card right after we hear from Gramco.
All right, whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, or the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta 8 products ready for any occasion. Gramco currently offers numerous Delta 8 products such as vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you, and is also available at many American retailers as well. Get the best Delta 8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. If you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code ICEGUYS, you get 25% off of any order, and all orders on the site that are $50 and higher are shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta 8 products today.
All right, we're back here on the Ice Guys. And yeah, Brent Burns Brent Burns has, by the way, gone over 2.5 shots on goal in 9 straight games. But unfortunately, the juice with that is minus 175. But if you're willing to lay the juice, obviously he's gone over 2.5 shots, 9 straight games. To get a point, minus 160, a little high, but certainly he's gotten points in 3 straight, and he's facing his former team. So that definitely, in theory, still makes sense. Again, if you're willing to pay the price and lay the juice, Brent Burns props, shots on goal, points, anything like that, probably are worth a look here tonight for Carolina. In this one. All right, next up as we continue along, we got 4 games left. Vegas Golden Knights, New York Rangers. Rangers minus 155, home favorites, 6 the total in this one. The New York Rangers looking to bounce back at home here after playing the Leafs on Wednesday night. Great game. They lost in overtime 3-2. Looking to bounce back. They've been very good off a loss lately, the Rangers. Each of their last 3 games, they bounced back with a win the very next game. I kind of wanted to take the Rangers here, but again, the price minus 150, minus 150. Vegas is slumping 1-5 in their last 6 games, and it's all kinds of issues for Vegas right now. Namely, a lot of issues with them. They miss Mark Stone. It goes without saying. They're still without Shea Theodore and Zach Whitecloud, 2 very good defensemen. When with Mark Stone out, Marchessault's kind of hit a wall offensively. Riley Smith is definitely on a goal-scoring drought right now, and those are 2 guys they really need right now, especially with Jack Eichel slumping. I credit Jack Eichel for one thing. He's come out publicly and said, I suck right now. I need to be better. I need to be better. And I give him credit for that, admitting it, saying it publicly. But now you got to take those words, my friend, and turn them into some fucking action, okay? Because you got to get going here. He has got 1 point for the Golden Knights in the last 7 games. I mean, you got to be better than that, especially when Mark Stone's out, and so much is relied upon for him on this Golden Knights team. They rely on offensively, and again with Marchessault kind of struggling a little bit in a bit of a slump. Riley Smith's offense is tapered off of late. They need Eichel right now, and Eichel unfortunately can't find him with a telescope right now in certain games for the Vegas Golden Knights. Adin Hill will be in net for Vegas tonight. He's actually got a 10-4 record as a starting goaltender this year for the Golden Knights. His numbers aren't bad. This isn't a huge drop-off, at least at the moment, going from Logan Thompson to Adin Hill, because Adin Hill's been solid. We'll see how he fares here. You would expect it to be Igor Shesterkin tonight for the New York Rangers. I don't believe it is a back-to-back for the Rangers. No, they don't play tomorrow, so I would expect Shesterkin to be in net. Like I said, I was interested in the Rangers, but not at minus 150, minus 155. So I'm probably going to end up staying off this game, at least from a side and total perspective. Maybe look at a couple props. And Philip Hedl is the prop that stands out right now. He is rolling at the moment for the New York Rangers. And since Gerard Gallant put that kid line back together, which was so good in the playoffs, of course, Philip Hedl centering Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere, they've kind of gotten that chemistry back together again. So definitely Philip Hedl worth a look tonight in the prop market. Alex, what do you think here? Golden Knights, Rangers.
Yeah, this is a pass for me. If I were to play anything, I'd probably actually lean toward the under 6. Just looking at some trends, Rangers are 5-0 to the under the last 5 games on a Friday, which I usually don't like those daytimes, day of the week stats. But this one's kind of a bit prevalent because usually those Friday games tend to be at home for the Rangers. So that's something of a trend. I always talk about like the Hawks with the 6 o'clock Sundays. There's certain time slots and certain teams, certain days where you can kind of line up those trends. And this may be one of them. We've seen Vegas, of course, like I said, having some issues offensively. So maybe a lean toward the under, but it's more like going to miss my card.
All right, Jimmy, how about you? Vegas, Golden Knights, New York Rangers.
Yeah, first off, I got to tell you too, guys, that Gramco, Alex sent me a nice gift packet, and I can vouch. Very, very good. The wake and bake coffee, I don't know how much wake, but definitely bake. Yeah. So
there you go.
Nice.
Definitely appreciated that little gift. Yeah, look, guys, I'm with Alex on that, and I was actually going to bring that up, how tough they are on Friday nights at MSG. That's always, through the course of history, been a tough spot for visitors, is going into MSG on a Friday night. So with that, and just the way the Vegas Golden Knights kind of, I know Eichel, we're focusing on him, but the team in general, guys, has really not been that great since the end of November. If you look at their record, I don't have it right in front of me, but I'm betting it's not too high over 500. I mean, they're not in a good place, and nobody's really talking about it. I'm very interested to see what happens with them at the deadline if there's a shakeup there. It's not going to be behind the bench, you would think. I mean, Cassidy just got there, but I wonder if there's a major trade coming in Vegas. We'll see what happens. As far as this game goes, yeah, ride the Rangers here, and Jimmy Puckline, Rangers -1.5.
There you go. Jimmy Puckline for the first time on this show for Jimmy with Rangers -1.5. All right, Nate, how about you? Golden Knights, Rangers.
I was going to say the same. I mean, I don't love either side. I think the Rangers beat Florida the other night, but I thought they got outplayed. Obviously, I think we're vastly outchanced in that Toronto game, although it was a close game. I think Toronto had the better of the 5-on-5 play. It feels like New York's just so power play reliant, but Friday night in MSG, there's a different energy. I think if I was going to play anything, I agree with Jimmy. I'd probably go Puckline on the Rangers. You have Aiden Hill, who hasn't been bad for Vegas, but they have a lot of defensemen out. Zach Whitecloud's, a big defensive stalwart for them. Obviously Theodore. So I'd probably play the Rangers -1.5 too at a pretty juicy +158. Right, that's a good price for a team at home, and Vegas missing some guys. So I'd go Puckline as well.
All right, Rangers Puckline for Nate here as well. All right, next up here as we continue along on this Friday card, we have next up New Jersey and Dallas. It is a Dallas -155, home favorites, 6 the total in this one. The money coming in on Dallas here, and look, I get it. New Jersey's on a back-to-back on the road. It's not exactly advantageous. It looks like Jake Ottinger in net for the Dallas Stars, which is pretty much what we expected. Should be Vitek Vanacek in net for the New Jersey Devils after we saw Mackenzie Blackwood. And predictably with Mackenzie Blackwood in net, they lost last night. Shocker. Can't believe it. But nevertheless, 6-4 loss to the Nashville Predators. And back to Vanacek, you would think tonight on the back-to-back, who's the better goalie for sure for New Jersey. Look, I get it. Dallas, rest advantage, 2 back-to-back home losses in overtime against Buffalo and Carolina. They're looking to bounce back here. New Jersey did beat them in Dallas last year, though, and they lost at home to Dallas earlier this season. I'm tempted by New Jersey here. In fact, I like New Jersey here. The more this line creeps up, even with the Devils on a back-to-back. Devils have a winning record, actually, on a back-to-back this year, 4-2 on the second night of back-to-back games. And to me, I don't know, with the way that Stars are playing, it makes no sense because they've got everybody back. They're about as healthy as they've been all year, and yet they're still, kind of muddling along. I guess that's the best way to put it right now. There's games where they don't score enough and they lose. There's games where the offense comes to life and then they don't get the defense, or the goaltending from Ottinger is just a little bit off. And it's been just a combination of different things, one game to the next, to explain why they're losing some of these games, Dallas. And right now, if you look at the Carolina and the Buffalo game, it's just the timely goal, they're not getting it. The timely save, they're not getting it. And they're just letting the other team get that. So they've been close, and this is probably going to be another close Dallas game. And to me, there's value with New Jersey +135. You could even consider draw. I think it's going to be a competitive game. That's not a bad option. But with this line creeping up, I definitely think there's some plus price value here on the New Jersey Devils in this game, who are actually, if you look at the last, I would say 8 to 10 games, better form right now than the Dallas Stars. The only thing Dallas has a real big edge in tonight is the scheduling spot. They're at home. They're off. They had a day off yesterday, just rested, ready, waiting for New Jersey, who are coming into this game second back-to-back on the road after being in Nashville last night. They are a little bit, maybe fatigued, but at this price, I'm interested with New Jersey +135. Alex, what do you think here? Devils, Stars?
Well, I'm going with the draw right back again with New Jersey. Thought it was a good spot last night. Like I said, didn't end up cashing it. And what happened, I kind of foreshadowed it. I said, if you like the side in that game, I would lean with Nashville because you worry about New Jersey's legs late in the contest because they had played 4 previous games going into overtime or shootout. Sure enough, that's kind of what failed them. They ran out of steam in that third period, and Nashville took hold. So now, second night back-to-back against the rest of the Dallas team, I would be very cautious with taking the Devils on the side. But conversely, laying $1.50, $1.55 with Dallas, not something I want to do right now either going into the All-Star break. Like, so the team is just kind of middling along, which that's not bad. It's better to middle along and maybe drop a few games now than later on in the season, obviously. So just kind of going through the motions. Devils been playing a lot of hockey with those extra periods attached. I like the draw here. I think this could be a close one. We've seen Dallas also back-to-back games going into overtime.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. 2 straight draw bets would have cashed in Dallas Stars games. Alex looking to hopefully make it 3 in a row for Dallas going beyond regulation. Jimmy, what do you think here? New Jersey, Dallas.
Well, look, I look at it just from watching a lot of, Bruins and just a lot of hockey in terms of back-to-backs, guys. I notice sometimes the team coming in off the back-to-back on the road has got a lot of juice in the first period. I don't know if they're just, they're doing extra things to wake themselves up and get their muscles going or what have you, because they played the night before. And then, as you mentioned earlier, they run out of gas as the game goes on. So that's why I'm going to take the Devils in the first period here. I don't know if they can last energy-wise the whole game, but I like them to come out of the gate strong, and I'll take them in the first period on the money line.
All right, there we go. First period for New Jersey for Jimmy. All right, Nate, how about you? New Jersey, Dallas.
Yeah, I'm going to look. I think it's a tough spot for New Jersey, man. A lot of games back-to-back. Obviously, a tough one last night that was tight. I'd maybe look Dallas in regulation, -105 if you're looking for a better price. I like Dallas here or lean them, but I wouldn't want to eat the -155. I also like Rupe Hintz to score tonight. I think he's +180. He was out I think he's been back for 2 games now. Was out for a handful of games. He's got his sea legs back under him. I think him at plus, I looked at it, I think it was +180, +182. Rupe Hintz, I'd like to score. He's another guy I back in the day played in Bismarck, juniors in Bismarck, and Rupe Hintz flew to Bismarck when he was 15 years old to practice with our team. I don't know what the hell he was doing there, but he basically took 2 looks at Bismarck, and he was so skilled. But I mean, this was a league of 20-year-olds, and he just wasn't really fit for it yet. And he was there for a day and was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. He didn't speak a word of English, and basically left 2 days later. But then lo and behold, 3 years later, he was a first-round pick or whatever. So we'll call it the Bismarck Bobcats goal prop. I'll go Rupe Hintz at +180, +182, and then I'll take Dallas in regulation.
Look at these connections for our guy.
Yeah.
Here. I mean, Alex Lyon, freaking Rupe Hintz. I mean, my goodness, the connections are endless right here.
Yeah. I can't say me and Rupe ever had a conversation because he didn't speak any English. So we were both just kind of talking around each other. I think he said Jimmy John's, I think was the one thing he said in English. He wanted to go Jimmy John's. So that was that's where we had it. But, big connection.
Yeah, of all the things I can think of when you don't speak English, what's one of the most important things to know to say? Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's, for sure. Take me there.
Nevertheless, that's pretty cool, though. But he's certainly turned into a nice NHLer, hasn't he?
Great player.
Very impressive. Great player, and has certainly made an impact. Great offensive player. Really can do a bunch of different things. He's a very good vision on the ice, playmaker. Obviously can score, find the back of the net, and he's been a great find for the Dallas Stars, no doubt. Columbus Blue Jackets, Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver -180, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this one. I am back on another Vancouver over here, although I do caution that I know Rick Tocchet's trying to drill better defensive hockey into this team, but I just don't know if they're capable of it personnel-wise. I mean, is this personnel really capable of digging in defensively? The penalty kill still sucks. Seattle lit it up the other night when they beat the Canucks 6-1 on Wednesday night. Rick Tocchet took till game number 2 as head coach of the Canucks for him to call out the team and start saying they're soft and they got to play a lot better. And didn't take long. Welcome to Vancouver, Rick. Welcome to Vancouver. I know you just said goodbye to, and by the way, how hilarious was that on Wednesday night? The little serenade by Paul Bissonnette and Henrik Lundqvist in the studio of Rick Tocchet saying goodbye to him. That was
I was stunned that Bissonnette actually has a really nice voice. Like if he really tried to work on singing, he could actually pull it off.
He was not bad. He was decent. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was not bad at all. In fact, I think just short of good, but he was decent. He could carry a tune at least a little bit. I was impressed with the way he did that. Yeah. And even Henrik on the guitar, that was hilarious. That was, but great stuff saying goodbye to Rick Tocchet, who of course, due to the new job as head coach of the Canucks, no longer available to be in the TNT studio. Columbus, I worry about this spot for Columbus. The first thought I had was, don't we have to take Columbus here +160, against this Vancouver team? Should they be laying -180 to anybody? But you look at the Jackets' last 2 games, right? The Johnny Gaudreau return to Calgary, very intense game, very anticipated game. And they battle Calgary tough, and they end up losing in that one 4-3. And then they have the huge monster upset win over Edmonton, TNT on Wednesday night. And they get that overtime victory 3-2 over the Oilers. Those were 2 very hotly contested games for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And now you play lowly Vancouver. I just don't know if we have that same intensity from the Jackets tonight. And then they're back tomorrow night in action on the road at Seattle against the Kraken tomorrow night. So this is a bit of a tricky spot here for Columbus in this game. And after the way Tocchet, read his team the riot act for that no-show against Seattle, that's essentially what it was. They were completely dummied by the Kraken on Wednesday night. You'd expect Vancouver to show a little something. And keep in mind, the Chicago game in Rick Tocchet's debut did show that Vancouver against bad teams can get the job done. That was as good as they played all year. The Chicago game before the Seattle debacle, they outshot Chicago like 40-15 at one time in that game, and they ended up finally the dam burst on Peter Mrazek in the third period of that game, and they ended up winning comfortably, the Canucks. Wouldn't surprise me to see Vancouver play well here, but I'm not laying $1.80 with them or taking them in any fashion. So for me, it would just be looking toward goals over 6.5 in this game. I think if you like Vancouver here, maybe you jump on them in the first period, potentially. That's not a bad consideration. You'll get the -0.5 at a plus price. That may not be a bad way to go. What do you think here, Alex? Columbus, Vancouver?
Yeah, I'm going with the first period over here. I played 2 at plus $1.10, and we've been hitting this often with Vancouver. It cooled off a little bit, but we've seen it kind of spring back around, and especially, like I said, getting off a bunch of shots. If you get 40 shots off in the first 20 minutes of play, or they have to get ahead. Like, it was like 25 to like 8 in the first period in that Chicago game. If they get 25 shots on net in the first against Columbus, they should be able to at least get 2 goals on their own, and they've had some issues on their back end as well. The Martin-Delia combo just really hasn't been hitting that well. So I definitely like this first period over, and it makes sense to look towards the full game over as well.
And Columbus, as you would expect, riding Jonas Korpisalo, because it's not like he's been spectacular, but he's actually been decent lately, and he's been better than Merzlikins, much better than Merzlikins, who's obviously had a terrible season. We've talked about that a lot. Korpisalo will be in net for Columbus. I'm going to assume it's Delia for Vancouver. In this one, Spencer Martin is struggling right now. He didn't have a good start against Seattle. The whole team was bad, but Martin didn't have a great game. Delia probably will get the start, I think, tonight, although that hasn't been confirmed as of yet. Keep in mind, still a lot of injuries, too, from a Columbus perspective. But if you're looking at some props tonight here in this one, there's a couple streaking players here that you want to keep in mind in terms of the prop market. You've got for Columbus, Gaudreau has been an assist machine, a point machine. Laine, same thing, getting points repeatedly. So those two in particular, Laine and Gaudreau, probably worth a look here. Marchenko, it goes without saying, goal scorer prop. He has been lighting it up lately for the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's a good goal scorer prop look in this game. Marchenko as well. Jenner has come back from his injury, the captain of this team, and he's made an impact at times as well. So some decent prop looks. For Vancouver, I'm going to go back to Connor Garland. Connor Garland played under Rick Tocchet in Arizona, and in the first 2 games under Tocchet here in Vancouver, Garland's played some much better hockey. He's been more noticeable. He's had chances. He's had the puck on his stick. He's been shooting the puck more. He's capitalized. He's gotten a couple points as well. So the point prop on Garland, maybe to score a goal. Anything Connor Garland, I think worth a look tonight in the prop market for Vancouver. Jimmy, what do you think here? Jackets, Canucks.
Great minds think alike there, man. I was liking Garland as well to get a point at least, and I'm going to jump on the goal prop as well. And look, Kuzmenko, I mean, they just locked him up, and they did that for a reason. He's been great this season for them. So give me a goal prop on him. Otherwise, I'm staying away from the side and the over-under. I like that first period over. I might jump on that, but I'm going to stay away other than that.
Yeah, and he's plus 325 to score a goal tonight, Garland as well, and only minus 120 to get a point. So those are great props. I'll be betting both of those. What do you think here, Nate? Columbus, Vancouver?
Yeah, I think it's tough. I kind of lean towards Vancouver puck line, but I probably wouldn't bet it. I mean, you like to think with a new regime in Tocchet, right? Guys are kind of committed to trying to prove themselves and reestablish things, but it's kind of weird. Usually when you see a mid-year firing, like it's like the coach and the message has gone stale, but you saw these guys come out and publicly vouch for Boudreau, right? So it just doesn't feel like one of those situations. I don't know which way Vancouver is going to go. I could see it getting worse yet. So I'd probably play the over, what's been, kind of steady with Vancouver as of late. I think Columbus has, Werenski out. They have a couple health issues. I think I'd probably lean towards the over 6.5. Hope Vancouver potentially has a nice game. And then, they're going to give up some goals on the back end as well. So, look for maybe a 5-3 Vancouver win or something.
Yeah. And by the way, Boone Jenner with goals in 3 of the last 5 games for Columbus. So if you want a goal prop on Boone Jenner, it's not a bad consideration as well tonight. For this game. And of course, obviously returning recently from injury, again, has goal prop isn't it's not the bargain bin price you typically get from some of my recommendations, but still 3 of the last 5 games would probably be something you'd want to maybe look at betting here tonight as well. All right, maybe the game of the night, final game of the card here, Calgary and Seattle, a good divisional battle here. We've got Seattle minus 120, home favorites, 6 the total in this one. This just feels like everyone's watched Calgary look pathetic last night. Dreadful, right? And there's no way now after the way they played last night, right? They're capable on a back-to-back going to Seattle and beating the Kraken, right? And this just that this would be so typical NHL sometimes for Calgary to roll into Seattle and beat the Kraken tonight after such a bad game last night. And honestly, I was looking to bet Calgary here in this game tonight in a bounce-back spot. Flames are in that sort of pattern right now where against some of the weaker teams, they have struggled, and then they raise their game against the better teams. Look what they did against Tampa, beating the Lightning last weekend at home. So, don't totally underestimate their chances here tonight. Obviously, it was an awful game for them, especially defensively. Jacob Markstrom has struggled this year. That was not all on him last night. There were defensive lapses galore from the Calgary Flames in front of their goaltender. They're going to have to clean those up tonight against Seattle. The Kraken, of course, have been sitting at home. They're in the middle of a 5-game homestand. This is the 4th game of that homestand. They beat New Jersey in overtime, lost to Colorado in a shootout, beat Vancouver 6-1 on Wednesday, and then they wrap up the homestand against Columbus at home tomorrow night. We'll see who's in net for the Kraken, but it should be Martin Jones, and it is. We know for Calgary it'll be Dan Vladar. I'm positive of that. Hasn't been confirmed, believe it or not, yet, but you would expect that to be the case after it was Markstrom last night. Daryl Sutter opting to save the guy that's been the better goalie lately for them, Darth Vladar, for this matchup here against the Seattle Kraken. So I was kind of interested in Calgary, but not at this price. I mean, you're talking even money. I needed something a little bit better than that. They have played Seattle pretty well. I know you're going to get Calgary playing a whole lot better after the debacle last night against Chicago. But at the end of the day, I don't think the price is good enough for me to bet it because it's pretty much even money, minus 110. I was hoping Seattle might be a minus 130, minus 140 home favorite. Maybe we'd at least get plus 120 on Calgary. Then I'd be a little bit more interested. This price is just not appealing enough to me at this current number. So while the lean is toward Calgary, at this price, I got to pass. What do you think here, Alex? Calgary, Seattle?
Yeah, I think this might be a good live over game. I've been seeing it at 6, which that isn't bad. I would lean to the over at 6, but I think I would wait and try and get a 5.5, maybe even a 4.5. I think this could be a bit of a tight battle. Like I said, Calgary, the way they played last night, I think they want to get back to basics, get back to controlling the puck, limiting Seattle's chances, and playing a little bit tighter. I think we'll have some chances to let that number drop down to maybe even a 4.5, laying, let's say, $1.20, and then we can jump on that over, and that's when the game will kind of open up. So I expect a slow first period, expect things to open up kind of later in the second and third. And I'm not looking at a side here. It's Calgary coming off of a bad game. It's the last game before they head to the break, so they definitely want to be amped up. And like I said, playing against the division rival should be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, definitely. I want to point out something, and this was a great tweet from someone I believe that covers the Calgary Flames on Twitter, and this is significant. We know Chris Tanev is one of the best shutdown stay-at-home defensemen they have, right? No doubt about it. And obviously he's now injured, and he's missed, I believe, the last couple of games. Actually, it was just the last game that he missed for Calgary against Chicago. He was out for due to an upper body injury. He's questionable for tonight here on the back-to-back. But the Calgary Flames this season, when they've had Chris Tanev on the ice, 22-19. When they haven't had Chris Tanev, 1-7. How about that record? 1-7, the Calgary Flames without Chris Tanev in the lineup. So you talk about an impact injury, and he is an impact injury because, again, he's their best shutdown in terms of defensive play from anyone on that blue line. Nobody does it better than Tanev. Positioning is good. He's a big body. He blocks a shit ton of shots. He's just a road grader in front of the net, and they miss him dearly. And the record bears that out. They're 3 games above 500 with Tanev. They're 1-7 without him this year. And of course, last night they were without him, and look what happened. They lose at home to one of the worst teams in the NHL, and they get buried 5-1. So it's an impact injury, and his status matters. And he's questionable for tonight as of right now. What do you think here, Jimmy? Calgary, Seattle?
I'm liking a draw here, guys. I think we're in for a good one. I think both these teams, they got their own issues they want to fix, and I think that it's going to be a good old division battle here. So give me the draw.
All right, liking the draw here in this one. This is definitely look. I don't have a strong take on the game side or total pregame, but certainly from a watching and a viewership and just a hockey fan standpoint, I'm looking forward to watching this game. I want to see how Calgary responds. And again, Seattle's been one of the stories of the season so far in the NHL, that they have gotten to the point where they are at, leading the Pacific Division. It's been quite the run. No question about it for the Seattle Kraken. And I think what's special about the Kraken is that they've gotten so much offense from so many different sources this year. By the way, Matty Beniers is questionable. I can't believe it took me that long to mention that. He's questionable. He suffered an injury. Remember, Tyler Myers took a run at him for Vancouver the other night, and he left the game to injury after that. Oh, he's out. Actually, it's been confirmed. He will miss the next 2 games for the Kraken. So he will not play tonight, nor will he play tomorrow night against Columbus. So Matty Beniers will miss the next 2 games. That's an impact injury. Look at the season he's had for the Seattle Kraken. 36 points for Matty Beniers in 47 games this year, 17 goals, 19 assists. And obviously there's going to be some lineup shuffling as a result. I'm just taking a look now. It looks like Burakovsky. Donato is moving up to that top line center spot, and he's a great prop option right now. Excellent prop option right now for the Seattle Kraken. Donato's Pizza, he has been heating up lately for the
Seattle. His dad was, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, his dad was a former Boston Bruins player, San Jose Sharks, I think, too, and he's the coach of Harvard.
Yep, absolutely. And
I'm sure you knew that, and you probably played against him, right?
Yeah, we played against Donato's teams for sure. Yeah, he's a great coach.
Yeah, no doubt. And Ryan Donato has picked it up lately for the Kraken, and he is going to fill that coveted number 1 center spot with Eberle and Burakovsky tonight in the absence of Matty Beniers, because that was Matty Beniers' spot in the lineup. And now Donato will take it. And Donato, by the way, 4 goals and 5 points in the last 3 games for the Seattle Kraken. 4 goals, 5 points in the last 3 games. That's a great, great prop tonight. One of the best prop options, honestly, is Ryan Donato here for Seattle. Goal, points, you name it. Get on those props for Ryan Donato tonight. What do you think here, Nate? Calgary, Seattle.
It's tough. I'm with you. Beniers being out, not great for Seattle. I think you look at Calgary in the standings; it's an absolute logjam, right? In that Pacific, and so they have some ground to make up. They're coming into the break. They're going to be motivated. They're, I think, 6 points back of Seattle. So I'd like to lean Calgary, but to your point, Ian, at almost even money on the road after just kind of playing, I probably can't take it. So I maybe look under 6 on a really tight, interdivisional game. These teams know each other well. I'm going to take the under, and then probably just look at props like a Donato, right, or some of those guys moving up. I mean, Donato's, to your point, he's got a nose for the net. If you get him a chance, he's going to score. And now being elevated to that top line and probably getting more power play time, he's a good option. So, but I'll take under 6 on this one tonight, given the context and sort of the urgency probably for both teams and a game that both teams know each other well.
Yeah, Pull Buddy's good points there. Pull Buddy's Nerfect in the chat asking Teddy, of course, Ted Donato. What other Donato would it be? Yeah, that's his dad. I mean, and he's a coach now at Harvard University as well for the Harvard Crimson there. He's a college coach. And yeah, Boston Bruins, Ottawa Senators. He played there for a little bit. Now, when he played with the Bruins, I believe it was in the mid to late 90s. That's when the Bruins were not the best, at that time. They had some rough years during that time.
Actually played for Rick Bowness. He came in when Rick Bowness was the coach of the Bruins. He came in as an interim coach. Bruins that year it was a crazy year. They ended up losing to the Penguins in the conference final. They got swept. That was the year the Penguins won their second straight in '92. But yeah, that's how far back he goes. That was his first year. He came straight from the Olympics right to the Bruins.
You can tell Rick Bowness been I heard a little a snippet of his press conference yesterday before the Buffalo game. He was chirping Rob Ray before the game, saying we had Billy Heward and Denny Vial when he coached Ottawa, and I had to keep them stapled to the bench when they say, "Oh, Rob Ray's on the ice, coach. Get me out on the ice. We got to fight this guy." And it took everything in my power, Rick Bowness was saying, to keep them on the bench. We had to change the damn rules in the league because of you, he said. Yeah. He was chirping Rob Ray big time yesterday. It was funny.
Nice.
In the pregame media conference before the Jet Sabres game. And, of course, Rob Ray's in town because he's working the Sabres television broadcast these days. So that was pretty funny hearing that. Rick Bowness giving the gears to Rob Ray yesterday. That's how far back Rick Bowness goes. Like, he was coaching Ottawa in the early 90s there. And, yeah, Denny Vial was on those teams. And, yeah, Vial and Ray had some fucking classic fights, classic legendary battles. Back in those days, no question about that. All right, great stuff. That is the Friday card. Awesome to have a full house today. Alex B. Smith, Jimmy Murphy, Nate Rapensky. Great times indeed. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube, and as well, thanks to those of you listening to the podcast version. We will be back with Best Bets to wrap up the show right after we hear from Manscaped. Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, our good friends at Manscaped, who are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, courtesy of the Ice Guys. Get 20% off of any purchase and free worldwide shipping with the promo code Ice Guys. That's promo code Ice Guys, all one word, ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 400 million balls that you can help preserve with manscaped.com using the promo code Ice Guys. You get the Performance Package 4.0. It is a game changer. The Lawnmower 4.0. It takes care of this, among other things. It'll keep you trim as can be. The Lawnmower 4.0, waterproof. Same thing with the Weed Whacker, which takes care of your ear hair, nose hair. I mean, nose hair in particular. You know, I'm getting up there in age, and nose hair is becoming definitely more of an issue. This will take care of it. It feels like someone's tickling the inside of your nostrils sometimes. It pisses the hell out of me. It bothers me. I need to take care of that shit. This will take care of it for you. The Weed Whacker. Makes part of the package that you get with your Manscaped purchase, and the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. You also get the ball toner. You also get the ball deodorant, keep you smelling good and looking good and feeling good down in the nether regions. This package is really going to make you feel good and look good and look better, slim, trim. That's what it's all about. And manscaped.com can help you out with that. So make sure you take advantage of this. Manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code IceGuys at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the promo code IceGuys. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, we're back here on the Ice Guys, and Emily, thank you very much in our chat here, saying thanks for the guys that like the show. It's not a big deal to us, but it is to them. So yeah, exactly. She's hit the like button, exactly. If you like, and by the way, I haven't mentioned this enough. We have obviously the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those that I mentioned, Amazon Music now as well. Leave a review. Leave a review of the show. And by the way, I think our average review rating is like 4.6 out of 5, which is very good. And we appreciate that. Like, if you really like the show, leave a review for, I know, Apple Podcasts in particular. You can leave reviews of the show there. Definitely a comment. And
Spotify, you can leave I think like 5 stars or whatever. Yeah. So
yeah. Absolutely. So we appreciate that as well. But and again, patreon.com/IceGuys, $10 a month. Sign up and subscribe there. And really, it's just as much for you guys getting all the great content we post there as it is just like, it's like a little tip for us for putting in the 7 days a week to give you the best damn NHL betting show there is, every single game, every single day. Patreon.com/IceGuys. Our daily betting card is posted there. Goalie charts, totals charts, power ratings, and tons of bonus content. So check it out. Patreon.com/IceGuys. Just $10 a month.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, too, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got 20% off everything for the next 4 days. You just click the little tab at the top of the screen. We got the hoodies, we got T-shirts, we got caps, we got everything you need there. So iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, indeed. Good stuff. All right, best bets here on this Friday edition of the show. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, let's go with Columbus, Vancouver, first period over 2 plus $1.10. I think I saw $1.15 floating around somewhere too. So shop around for the best price, obviously. But this is just one of those games where, and I think we're going to see a few of these, heading into the break where just roll the puck out and it's going to be all offense, not much defense. We haven't seen that much defense with Columbus most of the year anyway. And like I said, the goaltending for Vancouver has been shaky as well. So I expect goals early and often in this one. Let's go with the Blue Jackets and Canucks, first period over 2 plus $1.10. That's my best bet for Friday.
All right, Jackets, Canucks over 2, first period, best bet for Alex B. Smith. Jimmy Murphy, what do you got for best bet?
Well, guys, since I won't be with you tomorrow and you give me the chance to pick one from tomorrow, I'm going to look at the Boston Bruins at the Florida Panthers tomorrow. Panthers coming in at that point off a back-to-back. And the Bruins are yet to lose 2 games in a row this season. Pretty amazing. We're this late into the season. That hasn't happened. Give me the Bruins on the money line tomorrow against the Florida Panthers.
I think Jimmy just revealed one of my plays for the card tomorrow as well. So there you go. I like that spot as well. Boston money line against Florida for Saturday. That's Saturday, tomorrow's slate. Best bet for Jimmy Murphy. Nate Rapensky. Nate, great stuff. You always do a great job every single time you're on here. He'll be with us, Nate, by the way, every 2 Fridays, every 2 weeks on Fridays moving forward. Nate, what do you like here for best bet today?
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Gonna go with the Islanders first period. I mean, it might be one of those plug your nose plays, but plus 135, minus 1/2 first period on a 6-game skid. They're at home. Detroit's on a back-to-back. Detroit's one of the worst teams in the league in terms of first period bets and being able to cover the money line. So let's take the Islanders minus 1.5. Get a little bit of plus money, and I look for the Islanders to win in regulation tonight as well.
All right, there we go. But specifically for best bet, like in first period, New York Islanders minus 1/2, plus 135 to plus 140. You can get with that first period for the Islanders over the Red Wings for Nate with his best bet. My best bet for this slate, I'm going with LA, Florida, over 6.5, minus 130. Panthers have gone over in 5 straight games. They can score, and at home they can score goals, but I don't trust them to keep the puck out of their own net. I think Alex Lyon, as he goes along and gets more starts under his belt, other teams might have a better indication of where his tendencies and weaknesses are. So LA should find the back of the net, and so should Florida against Copley, who hasn't been nearly as good recently as he was. I like LA in the game too on the money line, but for the best bet, we'll use the total in that game. Kings, Panthers, over 6.5 for my best bet. All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, Jimmy Murphy, Nate Rapensky, a full house on this Friday. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great week, a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Saturday, noon Eastern, for a big Saturday slate on the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now.